switch to postum. The makers of postum, the favorite mealtime drink in millions of American homes, present those two lovable old characters from the hill country, Lum and Abner.
Hello. Yes, Bob. Huh? Lodge meeting? No, I'm not going tonight. Well, because I'm not, that's why. I couldn't get to sleep last night. No, I said I'm too tired to go, and that settles it.
Yes, and that settles something else, too. That a sleepless night not only leaves you tired and worn out, but also pretty cranky and disagreeable, too. So, friends, why risk anything like that for yourself? When if you just stop and think, it may be coffee nerves that's keeping you awake. You see, while many people can drink coffee without tossing and turning at night, many others just can't. So, if you think coffee keeps you awake, be sensible and switch to postum. For postum contains no caffeine or any other stimulant that could possibly disturb your sleep. And postum has its own distinctive full-bodied flavor. It's a cheering, heartening mealtime drink that's a favorite in millions of American homes. And actually, postum costs less than 1/2 cent a cup. So make it a point. If coffee robs you of sleep, to drink postum instead. See if the change isn't helpful even in a few days. And after giving postum a fair trial, say for 2 weeks, see if you aren't sleeping better again. See if you aren't mighty thankful you switched to postum. And now, let's see what's going on down in Pine Ridge. Well, Lum has been trying his best to think of some way to get rid of Mrs. Beaumont and her children, the woman he originally invited to Pine Ridge to become his bride. It looks as though they may remain in town for some time now, though as last Friday, Abner had her and the children move into Lum's house on the doctor's advice that the tourist cabins where they'd been living were too cold for the children. As we look in on the little community today, we find Grandpappy Spears over at the Jot'em Down store discussing the matter with Abner. Listen.
I don't know where he is, Grandpap. He stays hid out most of the time. He's still mad because I sent the Widder and them children over to his place to stay. Now he has to stay down there at that tourist camp.
Yeah, I hear they moved in over there. I just suppose he told them to.
No. Doc Miller called up here Friday and told me that them children had the whooping cough and they ought to be in a good warm house summers. Them tourist cabins is too cold and drafty for them.
Natural.
And Lum weren't here, so I went over there and me and Doc moved them into Lum's house.
Well, Lum oughtn't to get mad about that. Or to be glad for him to use his place if it'll help the children.
Well, any other time he would be. He's always had the name of being hospital. But here he's trying his best to get shut of the Widder and them children, and now he's feared they'll like the place so well they'll just stay there.
He's give up the idea of marrying her, huh?
Yeah, if he can get out of it.
Well, I don't think she's such a bad looker, Abner.
Oh, well, I don't think it's that so much. It's just him. He's been about to get married 3 or 4 times to my knowings. Every time when it comes down to a showdown, why, he backs out. Just scared of getting married.
Yeah, I feared this weren't going to work out very good. Her putting an ad in the paper wanting to correspond with somebody interested in matrimony. If she's such a bargain, she wouldn't have to advertise.
Yeah, well, I don't know what to make of it. I've been trying to help Lum study up some way to get out of it, but I don't know, Grandpap. That blame if I ain't got to where I'm feeling kind of sorrowful for the woman.
You mean you think you ought to go through with it?
Yes, sir. I believe I do. I had a talk with her Friday when we moved them over there. Now, she's just a right sensible woman. And thanks the world and all, old Lum.
Does.
Why, sure. Natural, she's sort of hurt over the way he's been treating her since she's been down here.
Well, you can't blame him for that.
Why, no.
Get a woman down here all the way from Tennessee and then just ignore her.
Yeah, well, that's what I say. He ain't give her a chance to find out where he likes her or not. Well, the whole thing, he's just disappointed when he found out that she had all them children.
Huh?
He never once thought about her having a family.
I thought Lum loved children. He's always making over 'em, taking on over 'em.
He does. Of course, I can sort of know how he feels. That is a pretty big family to just marry right into.
Oh, yeah. Be the best thing in the world that could happen to him, though, them children. He lived over there by himself so long, he's getting awful set in his ways, Abner.
Oh, my, and worse every day. You can just might nice set a watch by him. He's so regular about everything he does. Gets up 5 o'clock every morning, cooks the same thing every morning for breakfast, eats his dinner right at the same time, goes to bed at the same time, just 'cause he ain't had nobody to think about but himself.
Yeah. And he's getting old. He's going to need somebody to sort of look after him later.
Why, sure.
What's he going to do when he gets too feeble to take care of himself?
Doggies, you're right, Grandpa. I don't know whether we can do it or not, but now, if we can talk him into marrying that woman, it'd be the finest thing that ever happened to him.
Well, we can egg him on all we can. I feel sorrowful for them children.
Oh, yeah.
Mom could do a lot for them, and they could do a lot for him, too.
Why, sure. Yes, sir, I'll just talk to him when he comes back here.
Look at old Uncle Henry Lunsford. He married a widow with some children, long late in his life. Now, what would he be doing right now if he never had them boys to look after him?
Why, doggy, that's right. I've heard him say 1,000 times what a blessing they've been to him.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, these young'uns of the Widders is kind of young yet.
Well, Widder looks stout enough to put in a crop if need be.
Oh, yes, she's a good stout woman.
Take that place of Lum's over there and make a home out of it instead of just a batching quarters.
Yeah, well, she's supposed to have money. Leastwise, that's what the advertisement says.
Well, if she has, it's that much better, but if she ain't, it'll still be a good deal for Lum.
Now, doggy, wait a minute. Yonder he comes, Grandpa. Now, let's just set him down here and give him a good talking to.
Well, you better talk to him, Abner. I don't like to butt in. Ain't none of my affair.
No, now, just sit right back down there. As much your business as it is mine. I ain't taking him to raise.
Well, I never was much of a hand at trying to tell.
Come in, Lum.
Yeah, howdy, Lum.
Oh, howdy, Grandpap. Well, Mr. Peabody, you sure fixed me up in fine shape.
What's the matter?
Well, I've been out all day yesterday and today trying to round up my stock.
Your stock?
Yeah. Them young'uns over there at my place turned the whole shooting match loose.
Well.
It's scattered all over the community. Still ain't found one of the cows.
Hmm.
But don't you're going to have to pay for her, too.
Me? Well, I never had nothing to do with
It
it.
was the one that moved the Widder and them children over there.
Oh.
Or to pick up that chair there and bust it right across your head.
Well, now, wait a minute. Now, just sit yourself down here, Lum. Me and Grandpap wants to talk to you.
I can talk all right standing up. What did you want?
Well, you tell him, Grandpap.
No, go ahead, Abner. You're doing all right.
Well, we've been talking this thing over, Lum, me and Grandpap, and we've decided the thing for you to do is to marry the Widder.
Oh, you have? That's interesting.
Huh?
That's all you got to talk about. You can stop right where you're at. She's more than likely put you up to this.
She don't know a thing about it.
I wouldn't marry her if she's the last woman on earth. And I mean the last one, too.
Huh.
Well, what's wrong with her, Lum? What's your objections to her?
Yeah.
I just don't like her, that's all. Don't want to have nothing to do with her. Just get her out of my house over there is the best thing you can do for me.
Well, now, have you ever sat down and had a good heart-to-heart talk with her, Lum?
No, and I ain't going to, neither.
Well, there's your trouble. Now, you say you don't like her. You don't know nothing about her. I had a long talk with her over the other day, and I think she's a right sensible woman.
What about them young'uns? I reckon you think they're sensible, too. Tear a man's place up, rock me off the place every time I go over there.
Well, I don't blame 'em. The way you've been treating 'em, I'd chunk a rock at you, too.
The way I've been treating them.
Why, sure. Like they was a bunch of varmints.
Well, what are they?
Well, I'll admit they're full of mischief. You wouldn't want a bunch of young'uns sitting around with their hands folded, would you?
I don't want a bunch sitting around doing nothing.
Well, now, you had her come down here to marry you, Lum. You ain't treating her right.
Well, why didn't she say something about them young'uns in that advertisement's what I want to know. I never would have read her.
Well, you've always liked children, Lum. I can't understand you.
Me neither.
I believe if you'd take to being nice to 'em, carry some candy over there to 'em, you'd get a sight of pleasure out of 'em.
Why, sure you would.
Children can tell when one feller don't like 'em.
Why,
every
yes.
time.
Yes, sir. Now, if you and the Widder got married, why, you could make a regular pal out of that little boy, the oldest in there. He's old enough now that you could take him fishing and hunting with you and all that.
Yeah, give you a new interest in life, knowing that you got somebody dependent on you.
Why, sure.
Think of 'em growing up, Lum. All of 'em looking to you for advice and seeing 'em go out in the world and making successes out of themselves.
Yeah.
Grow up and get married and bring the grandchildren back home. Oh, there ain't nothing like it.
Why, of course not.
No, the very thing that you are objecting to would turn out to be the greatest blessing that ever happened to you, Lum.
It would.
Instead of going through life without no interest and not being no use to nobody but yourself, why, you can take them children and be a real father to them.
Why, look at old Uncle Henry Lunsford, Lum. Now, he married a widder with a passel of young'uns. I think what them boys of his means to him now.
Granny, the way I've treated her since she's been here, I don't know whether the widder'd listen to me or not.
Well, I dog as we can try it. I'll tell you what. I'll call her up and tell her to come over to the house for supper tonight, and after we get done eating, why, I'll go out in the kitchen and help Elizabeth with the dishes, and you and the widder can sit there in the parlor and just have a good heart-to-heart talk. It still might not be too late, Lum.
Granny, I hadn't thought about that. That's a responsibility, you know. Seeing that them children's brung up right. But I think I'd like that. I know I would.
Well, it looks as though this fading romance is beginning to blossom again. You know, it's bad enough to have to scold a child any time, but at the table, it's even worse. For mealtime should be a time of peace and harmony. Yet often you think you have no choice. When a youngster won't drink his milk, you just have to do something. If not scold, at least plead or promise. Well, let me suggest a way to avoid any unpleasantness, will you? You give your little milk rebel Postum made with milk, and see if it doesn't really make a hit. It's sure to, because children are flattered to be given such a grown-up-looking drink, and they just love the mellow, flavorful goodness of Postum made with milk. Postum's very wholesome, mothers, simply roasted whole wheat and bran, slightly sweetened. It contains no upsetting stimulants of any kind. And Postum won't spoil your child's desire for other foods either, because it's quite unlike those over-rich, heavy drinks. You'll find the directions for preparing Postum made with milk on each Postum container are easy as pie to follow. So start tomorrow and make milk drinking something the youngsters look forward to. Make them happy to drink milk by giving it to them in their favorite form, in tempting, delicious Postum made with milk. Don't forget, friends, next Wednesday evening at this same time, we'll go for another visit to Pine Ridge with Lum and Abner, who say they can say all they want about the benefits of our modern civilization, but it's time to start worrying when those scientists start looking for a substitute for friendship. Lou Crosby speaking. And remember, Postum, your best bet for a good night.
This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.